So a couple episodes ago when talking about Jack Edwards, I said it was either you love him or you hate him. And while that's the case, I think that really describes Brad Marchand more than anybody. Bruins win 7-3. 7-3 over the Ottawa Senators. Now, there's a lot of good stuff to talk about in this game. Patrice Bergeron, Matt Bolesky, Jimmy Hayes in his first career hat trick. But right or wrong, the first person I have to mention is Brad Marchand. Now, at the time of recording this, we still don't know whether or not Marshy is going to be suspended for his low bridge clipping on Mark Borowiecki, or however the fuck you pronounce his name. But for the sake of this video, I'm just going to call him Clown, just so you know. Now, first things first, and you'll see this with a lot of Bruins fans, I'm not going to defend Brad Marchand for what he did to Clown. That's a cheap shot. It's a low hit. And if he's suspended, he deserves it. If he's fined, he really deserves it. And obviously, anywhere you go that has a comment section, you have people ripping Brad Marchand apart for being a rat and all this shit. But can we please not act like the Sens were innocent in this game? You know, you want to talk about Marchand maybe spearing somebody, you want to talk about that hit. Let's talk about Chris Neil spearing Adam McQuaid. Again, this isn't me defending Brad Marchand's actions, but let's not act like he was picking on this weak, defenseless, innocent team. I mean, for Christ's sakes, in this game alone, you have Mark Stone hitting Landon Ferraro up high. So bottom line, when it comes to Marchand, if he's suspended, I'm alright with it. It would really suck if he missed the Winter Classic. If he's not, obviously certain places, every comment section ever, our hockey on Reddit, gonna be absolutely unbearable, pun intended, to be a part of, but you kind of learn to just accept that as a Bruins fan. They have the whole dirty tag on them, and that just is what it is, and people can bitch about it all they want. It just makes me laugh, to be honest. But getting into this game, Jimmy Hayes deserves to be talked about. A hat trick in under 12 minutes of ice time, relegated to the fourth line. We all knew he had to have a big game, and he absolutely delivered. The hockey gods were on his side with his first goal, with one of the most ridiculous and unnatural bounces off the end boards I think I've ever seen. Works his ass off for the second goal and has perhaps the celebration of the year with Max Talbot, who racked up his first assist on that play, made it 5-3 Bruins at that point. And then, of course, with a second left, a power play goal deflected in off a Max Talbot shot. So Hayes and Talbot had some damn good chemistry, and it's awesome to see Jimmy Hayes have a big game when he needed it most. Patrice Bergeron and Matt Bolesky as well. Of course, Bergeron working with Seth Griffith on the first line, now with Brad Marchand. So the Marchand shenanigans aside, Bergeron had himself an excellent game. And Seth Griffith, too. They pointed it out on the broadcast, and they're absolutely right. Rather than calling him up and putting him on the fourth line, he's right up to the first line, and I honestly didn't think he looked out of place. Give him a few more games, and I won't be surprised if he starts delivering, tearing up the AHL, and seriously, be on the lookout for him in the Winter Classic. If I had to bet that one person's going to score a goal at the Winter Classic, I have a strong feeling it's going to be Seth Griffith. And then Matt Bolesky, perhaps my new favorite Bruin, replacing Lucic. I mention every game how he is the hardest working guy on the ice, and if he can get the offensive output going, he will be a cult hero in Boston. And if he can keep up that point total, if he can get anywhere near the goal total he did with Anaheim last year, he is going to be a staple on this team for years to come, and will truly be a bargain for the price they got him at. A couple other players to mention. Again, I'm not going to break down all of the goals, and I will eventually give Ottawa their credit as well, but a couple other plays to point out, or a couple of the players to point out. Torrey Krug had a great game, gets his 100th career point. Ryan Spooner looked pretty damn good on that second line. Is he going to be able to completely replace David Krejci? Obviously not, but he has really grown as a player this year, and it's great to see him doing as well as he is, up to 16 assists now on the season. Again, Max Talbot had a great game working alongside Jimmy Hayes. Louis Eriksson racks up a couple of assists as well. And Brett Connolly gets on the scoreboard, assisting on Matt Bolesky's first goal on the power play. Of course, 4 power play goals for the Bruins in this game. The penalty kill is caught up. They're looking good. And the NHL's #1 power play continues to roll. Absolutely unbelievable. 35% efficiency rating on the power play at home. It's unreal. 4 for 7 in this game, and just incredible. Who would have thought a couple of years ago, seriously, and I've talked about this before, when all they had was, hey, put Chara in front and just cycle, that this team would eventually have the #1 power play. Absolutely insane. And before we get into the fun stuff at the end, Chris Neil gets his second goal of the season. Interesting to actually be talking about Chris Neil. Of course, I mentioned his little spear to Adam McQuaid earlier, but it's interesting to talk about him when not saying, oh, he was on the other end of a Lucic ass-whooping. And once again, I was impressed by Mika Zibanejad. Gets his 7th goal of the season. And Mike Hoffman gets his 18th goal of the season. He has come out of nowhere to be a consistent point producer for that team. But let's get into the fun stuff, the brawling at the end. Now, no matter where you go, again, on social media, you always see people in the comment section saying, I want old-time Bruins hockey, I want the rough and tough stuff. And you got it in this game at the end, as the Bruins, I'm sorry, they punked Ottawa. They really did. Max McCormick goes after Landon Ferraro, ends up getting taken down. I will say McCormick got the better of the punches. I'll give him that. Zach Ronaldo absolutely punks Dave Jarzynski, which was fucking hilarious. Mark Borowiecki, let's talk about it earlier in the game, where he got tossed around like a small child by Zdeno Chara. They say clowns are supposed to be funny, and I'll admit I had quite a laugh at seeing him just get tossed around like that. Chris Neil going after Adam McQuaid and doing absolutely nothing. Hilarious. Bottom line, a very entertaining game to watch as the Bruins avenge their loss and head into the Winter Classic on the perfect note. They snapped their 3-game losing streak in amazing fashion, and now they head into the Winter Classic, where Montreal, after losing to Florida and not maintaining the #1 spot in the Atlantic, it's a very big chance now for the Bruins to get the win they need and jump up the standings. Again, you have 3 games at hand on Montreal, and you're only a point behind. You need this Winter Classic win, and if you win it, you'll be tied with Florida in points. Florida, though, 8-2 in their last 10 games. They were on a great hot streak. But now's the time. The Bruins have to put these wins together, and if they beat Montreal at the Winter Classic again, they'll trend upwards. I think Montreal will continue to trend downward until Carey Price comes back. It's a huge game for both sides. That goes without saying. And while Brad Marchand and his potential suspension will overshadow this game, it was an amazing effort by a team that was missing perhaps their best offensive contributor. Jimmy Hayes steps up, Bergeron had a great game, Bolesky had a great game. Everyone played their hearts out, and it paid off. But that's it for this one, guys, and no question of the game. We're just looking right ahead now to the Winter Classic on Friday. And after this game, confidence fully restored that the Bruins can pull this one out. I'll see you all next time after perhaps the biggest game of the regular season.